Good morning. Doyle Lejean, real estate agent with Real Broker on a gorgeous Friday morning in South Louisiana. You know, I had an epiphany about probably 17 years ago. My son now is 22, my oldest, and my youngest is 18. But it's like you remember things that sit with you and that change the way that you think, and you just never know how it's going to affect you. So back about 17 years ago, my boys were 5 and about 1.5. And I know you know, as mothers especially, raising boys when they're little, when they're very little, what most of us probably don't ever really think about is we're raising these boys to one day grow up to be productive, Christian, successful men in society, right? And so as we're raising little boys, sometimes we lose sight of that. And I had a very dear friend of mine, I remember this like it was yesterday, about 17 years ago. My boys were about 5 and 1.5. And something had happened, and the mother bear in me just wanted to save him and protect him and just be there for him. And I remember her saying to me, now this woman at this time, a very dear friend of mine, had 3 boys and then later ended up having a 4th one, but said to me, Darla, you have to remember, we are raising boys to one day be productive men, members of society, where they are going to be in a very hard world that is not going to coddle them. And I remember that, it's crazy, I remember that like it was yesterday. And from that day forward, I remember always thinking, I'm not raising a boy, I'm raising a child that I one day want to grow up to be a Christian, kind, strong, independent, all the things, right? A great member of society. And that's how I always raised my boys. I didn't coddle them. I didn't spoil them. I raised them tough. I raised them hard. I raised them as Christians with a lot of love, but always with the future in mind, that one day they're going to leave me, and one day they will have to be independent, strong men who are dealing with a hard world that is not going to coddle them. And that's how I always raised them. So there were not excuses. They knew that they had to work hard. They knew that everything that they were ever going to earn in this world, they were going to earn it on their own. And of course, we were there to help them all along the way, but we were never there to make excuses, ever. And so to say that it just feels like yesterday I was walking my 22-year-old to kindergarten, and today we're house hunting. But why? It started way back when he was a little boy, and I pushed him to always work his tail off to be the best at every single thing that he ever set his mind to do. And so that was in sports, that was in academics, that was in whatever, just in life in general, right? That was our mission, that was our goal, and that was always his, thank God. He was always a hard worker, someone that always wanted to just be the very best at anything he set his mind to. So he graduated in May as a chemical engineer. He was 21 years old. He is now 22 years old, and he is a chemical engineer at a plant in Sulphur. And it's so crazy because I got into real estate 6 years ago, and the crazy thing is, I remember thinking one day, not too long from now, I'm going to be helping my 2 boys find a house of their very own. And so today, I am house hunting all day long in the Lake Charles, Sulphur, Westlake area with my boy, who is 22 and who has saved an enormous down payment. And remember, listen, if you're a first-time home buyer, I had the conversation with him 6 months ago. As a first-time home buyer, if you have decent credit, you can buy a house with 0 money down. And he looked at me dead in the eyes and said, Mom, that is silly. I am saving a ton of money because I don't want the bank taking my money on interest. And so I'm going to save as much money as humanly possible. I'm going to finance as little as possible. I'm going to pay it off as quickly as possible so that I don't owe the bank money. And I love that about him. But as a first-time home buyer, you actually need no money to buy a house. If your credit isn't that great and you don't qualify for 100% financing, there are still all kinds of grants and loan options out there if you're a first-time home buyer, even if your credit's kind of sucky. But a lot of times you'll hear people say, I got qualified for an FHA loan. A lot of times that's because their credit isn't that great or their debt to income ratio is pretty high, or some other reasons. So listen, my point being, you are never too young to buy a house, ever. And I don't care if anyone in your family has never bought a house. You are never too young to buy a home. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can very well qualify for 100% financing. If your credit sucks, or if you don't have a good down payment, or if you don't have anything, or if you have a high debt-to-income ratio, 3.5% is probably FHA. There are so many great programs to buy a home, but always remember this: where there's a will, there's a way. Set your mind to it. Say, I'm going to buy a house. Get in touch with a real estate agent who you know, like, and trust, and who can guide you in the ways that you need to be prepared. Remember this: 20% down is a misconception that lots of people have. You absolutely do not need 20% down. You need to align yourself with a real estate agent who knows lots and lots of mortgage brokers who have great programs. And listen, before I got into real estate, if somebody would have told me that, I would have said, that's a scam. You have to go through a bank. Absolutely the furthest thing from the truth. A mortgage broker specializes in only home loans, okay? Whereas a bank doesn't specialize in any, they specialize in all loan types. So a mortgage broker normally has the best interest rates, the best terms, the lowest percentage down, sometimes 100% financing. There is a will, there is a way. Align yourself with a real estate agent who knows what they're doing. So today is going to be an amazing day. I may take videos and pictures later throughout the day. Of course, my child will not want to be in any of them, and he would be absolutely mortified if he knew I was talking about him on video. But a mother's love and proudness for a child, you know, if you're a mother, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's no way we could be any more proud. So I am so proud today. He is probably going to choose a house today. If not, we're going to pick another day and we're going to go house hunting all day long again. And we'll look at it.